Well,
Hi, it's Danny Fleming.
I'm Marcus Collins from MMA Properties, and we're laughing because we just added a slide to the presentation with about 49 seconds to go. So that's why we were just a few seconds late. We just needed to add that one extra slide. So
We are here to do the top 10 mistakes sellers should avoid. Why do we do this? It's going to cost sellers money if you don't know about these things. So we figure it's part of our smart moves made here type thing. We need to fill you in on how buying and selling a home, it's too important to leave to chance. You've got to know what's going on, and it's too important to let every decision be guided by emotions and first impressions alone. So that's why we do this. So what's tonight's agenda? The agenda is we're going to cover a little bit about the characteristics of the local market. Now, if you're curious about what's happening in a few towns around the area, we actually did 2 masterclasses last night and went into detail on what's happening in both of those towns. And you can find them on our blog page on our website. You'll see them there. So we'll go into a little bit about what's happening with the local market, but if you want to go in depth, then check out the blog pages.
last night was the time,
Yes.
you missed it, but
Yeah,
luckily
sorry.
you recorded it. So, but anyway, that's good.
Then the agenda after that, the top 10 mistakes sellers should avoid. What does selling in 2021 look like? And we'll go a little bit into Is My Home a Teardown? We're also live streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. So if you have any questions at all, please submit them. We'll see if we can get them. I've got my laptop here, so we can see if we can, do any.
Answer those questions
answer
on the
those
fly.
questions on the
We
fly.
do everything else on the fly, so please answer questions. I'm sure we will answer. Fear not, we will answer them. So, should we talk about the characteristics of the local market?
We should.
It's relatively easy to get information today, but what's difficult, much harder to do, is really to make sense of it. And that's why we like to take the time to explain exactly what's going on with the market, what's happening, looking at every data point. And if you watched the seminar last night, or the masterclass last night, you'll see that we're pretty obsessive about what's happening in the markets that we serve. And broader than that, on our website we have lots of information for about 50 towns. So it's not just towns local to the area. If you're moving to a town much further out perhaps, guess what? We'll have information on that town too. So, you may have seen the kind of characteristics outlined of what happened in 2020 in our market reviews, the Lexington and Arlington market reviews. That gave you a sense of what happened in 2020 with our 2021 predictions. Last night, what we talked about really is what's happening in 2021, and it's an interesting story. I mean, I would recommend you watch that. There's a lot going on in the market. We'll touch on it as we go along today, but there's kind of too much to cover.
It's one for the record books. I mean, seriously, it's one for the record books. If you are thinking about selling at any time in the next 12 months or 2 years, now is the time to be selling. That we're not going to get a market like what we have that's happening right now, and the data is telling us that. It's backing up that whole assertion there, and we think it's something. It's about a fundamental shift in what buyers and sellers are looking for in where they live. COVID has made people reevaluate what's important.
Certainly in terms of the house that they want to live in and where they want to live, where they want to live and the house they want to live in.
Yeah.
Both of those. And you can see on this slide just the kind of 5 reasons why we're seeing this. One of them we would kind of switch for our market, that's number 3, but kind of take you through it. The home no longer meets their demands.
Their needs. Yep.
They need another office, they need 2 offices, they're spending more time at home. Swimming pools, would you believe, are the number one thing I think that we're seeing this year that we've not seen previously. Yeah. People asking that question, can I put a pool in? So there's a definite shift in terms of what the house that people need. There's also clearly some profit taking going on too. We've seen in Lexington about a 20% rise in house prices this year in comparison to 2020. That's a huge rise. Historically, we're normally somewhere between 3 and 5%. So there's been a kind of jump in that average sale price, a significant one, and that's brought more sellers into the market, taking some profits. The slide just says, because this came from a slide deck from somebody else's slide deck, that
Realtor.com.
Indeed. People are looking for smaller homes, less work. What we're seeing in many markets is actually the opposite of that. People looking for a larger home. They're going to spend longer at home, perhaps not 5 days in the office, maybe 2 days in the office, means 3 days working from home. And therefore they're looking for a larger home to satisfy that requirement. So it's not all that people are looking for smaller homes. People are also looking for larger homes too. That's for sure. Living closer to family and friends. Our son and his fiance moved from California back to Massachusetts for that very reason. So we have real experience of that one. And people are looking for different features and amenity, swimming pools, like I mentioned just a second ago. That's kind of a big one.
Or warmer. Earlier this year, I had 3 sellers all around the same time who were all moving to San Diego. They wanted warmer weather.
It's a nice city, but still, 3 people to San Diego.
Yeah, all in the same
Right.
window of time. It was really quite, when I was asking them, what are you planning? What's the next move? Where are you going? I'm going to move to San Diego. Okay. First time someone said that, and then a week later or so, I was talking to someone else, and then, what have you got? The next phase in where you're going to be living, and they said, well, we're moving to San Diego, and then within a week or two, somebody else said they're moving to San Diego. So it's really COVID has done that. And it's not just in Boston that's happening, it's across the country. There's a mass migration of people all choosing different things about where they want to live and what their next step is. So, yeah.
So we think, looking at it today, this is clearly COVID, and this is a 2021 phenomenon. Pretty soon, we're going to get back to perhaps a new normal, but get back to a much more normal situation. And it's interesting to look at what drove the market back in 17, 18, 19, and what will drive the market in 22, because that begins to kind of have an impact on where do we think we're going to end up past this year into 2022. Interesting to look at the demographics, because this really does show us the key drivers of the housing market. This graph shows you the number of people in each age bracket. 2 bumps, if you will, two large numbers are important in here, and I'll highlight these in yellow. The top one is the baby boomers. They are now thinking of retirement, therefore downsizing, so they're looking to sell their existing home, buy a new home. So that's one driver, a sell and a buy. The lower yellow band are the millennials, the first-time home buyers. Now, they don't have a home to sell, but now they're moving out of rentals into their first-time home. And so those 2 groups are some of the key demographics that are driving the market. Clearly, there are people that are relocating in, and there are move-up buyers too. But these 2 groups really are the ones that we need to focus on as we think about what this buyer group needs or wants, because that, as a seller, that's what you need to kind of satisfy their requirements. So it's important to think about the drivers for both the downsizers and those first-time home buyers.
And these buyer groups were here for a few years before COVID as well. So
right, yeah.
That's been there.
That was the drivers before, as I said before, in 17, 18, 19, and before, and now it will come back in 2020. Today, it's a different shift. In that people are reevaluating, as we mentioned before, reevaluating where they want to live, and so this is less of an effect, but it is here today, and it will definitely be here as we move forward. Interesting to look at interest rates. Interesting because we've been doing these masterclasses for a number of years now, and certainly back in 2018 we were doing them, and there we were looking at interest rates. Were they going to rise? Was 4.5% going to be something that slowed down the market? No, really needed to get to 5.5% to 6% before it had an impact. But here we are today, and the blue is historical and the green is the projections that the financial analysts have put out. As you can see, even as we get to 2022, we're only looking at about 3.5%. So very, very low interest rates, really not having any impact on the market. In terms of slowing it down. It does, of course, allow people to borrow more because their monthly payments are less. So this is another factor that's in the market through this year and into 2022, those very low interest rates that we've seen. And that kind of is driving the market a little bit too. Nowhere near a level that will slow it down. So.
And why what we're doing today is really, really important. Again, the top 10 mistakes sellers should avoid. We want to point out the data. So this is 2020 data. 2020 was a very buoyant year, even though we had COVID in the middle. Not in the middle, it impacted the market in about the April timeframe. We sort of slowed down with bringing houses on the market end of March. April, there wasn't much happening. Things started coming on the market again. The buyers were coming out in May. So it really, and we have that data available on the blog post where you can sort of see that. But even with such a strong market last year, 49% of the homes, this is one town's worth of information, that's a very strong town, 49% of the homes that came on the market sold for below the asking price. So clearly, don't just assume that the market is strong, my house is going to sell for over the asking price. There are some key fundamentals that are so important to actually ensuring that you can sell your home for a great price over market value. And this is something that I characterize when I talk to sellers many times, is I hear the fact that people are sort of saying, every house is going to sell. Every house is selling at the moment. Actually not. No, not every house is selling. And last year, where we have the data, 49% of them didn't sell for asking price or more. So, this is the crux of why we're doing these sessions.
Right.
To try and help you make smart decisions.
Jumping back a little bit to the data, in terms of the predictions, our predictions for 21 and 22. As Danny mentioned, 2020 was a very buoyant year. 2021 is one for the record books in terms of what we have seen. It does really depend on the town you're looking at. For example, Arlington has not seen that high, and the sales have been relatively static for the last 3, 4, 5 years.
The numbers of homes selling.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas in Lexington, we've seen a large increase in the number of homes that are selling. So it does vary in terms of town to town in terms of the characteristics. But overall, 2021 is a very, very strong seller's market. No question about that. Has been throughout the first half of 2021 and will continue through the rest of 2021. Now, when you think about 2022, we have to get back to a norm. House prices cannot rise at the rate they're rising at the moment. It's not sustainable. And so as we move into 2022, so we will get back into that usual spring and fall cyclic market that we're used to. So we've got one for the record books in 2021, but as we move forward into 2022, what we see is that the market will regain some normality, if you will, and it will kind of get back to where we were back in 2017, 2018, and so on. In terms of price appreciation and so on. Well, we see no reason why the large increase in prices we've seen this year should not continue. There's no reason for there to be a drop in the home prices. We've kind of reset the bar a little bit with a higher price, and now as we get into 2022, then we'll be back to the more normal 3 to 5% per year that we're used to. So this is really one which is driven predominantly by COVID as we kind of move through that. So we'll get back to that market driven very much by first-time home buyers, downsizers, and so on.
And partly it's because, you know, the vaccination rates that we've got in the Massachusetts area, in the Boston area, I mean, things are pretty well getting back to normal. People are going on vacation. All the restaurants have opened up. You know, we're not as concerned about how COVID is going to impact our life moving forward. I know that's not the case in a lot of the world, but that drives a lot of the psyche of the buyers and the sellers. Well, things are sort of starting to settle down. I don't need to make some large changes in my life and things, because what was good before is going to be sort of good again moving forward.
Yep. So should we get into top 10 and sort of, you know?
Yes, because it's critical to know the big questions to ask and to know what's happening and why, and to trust the people who represent you, because, you know, what you know or don't know will impact your outcome. That's why we're doing this.
So back to that graph that says 50% sold below asking, 49 below, 51 above. What we really want to focus on now is, what are those top 10 mistakes? What are the mistakes that those sellers who got less than asking made? Because they made at least one, in many cases more than one, of these top 10 mistakes.
And why? Because you can see it costs you money. If you're not selling over market value or over the asking price, it's costing you money because other people are. So that's where we want to make you the smart ones.
Right. So in no particular order, there really is not much order to this. They are just the top 10. Number 10.
Yeah. Not depersonalizing.
Right, that's a key one. Remove photos, remove diplomas, religious items off the wall, all of that, because you really want the buyer who looks at your home to think you've moved out. They don't want to see somebody else living there. They want to be, their mindset is, I want to be able to look at this home. This is the home I want. Move my suitcase in. I am in.
And imagine themselves living there.
In that
and
home.
They can't do that if they see the evidence of someone else who lives there. So we just want to make the home as vanilla as possible.
Right. It seems a bit counterintuitive, but vanilla is what today's buyers are looking for psychologically. They want to be able to go into their home and move in.
And part of this, when we go into to talk to a seller, and this can be even 12 months in advance, 18 months, 2 years in advance, we'll provide you a checklist that's just for your home of things that we would recommend doing or packing away or doing things that'll sell your home more. I mean, even just sort of thinking about it as advanced packing.
Right.
Yeah. So here's some examples of where, you know, this was a listing photo, not ours. None of these are ours.
Almost none of these are ours, I should say. Certainly in this section anyway.
So, you know, that's not a very enticing photo for a buyer who's coming to have a look at the home to buy, seeing that sort of in the driveway. Here's another one. You've got clothes spread all over the exercise bike, and you've got clothes on hangers and things. It sort of doesn't really appeal.
Because the first thing I think about when I see those clothes hanging on that movable rail is there isn't enough storage space in this home. Absolutely. That's the message. People look at that and go, oh, there can't be enough storage space.
Yep.
That's again, you have to think about it from a buyer's perspective in terms of that.
Yeah, and this one, I mean, you know, really the boxes sort of these are listing photos. This is meant to make a buyer want to come and see this home. I don't really want to come and see that home with that photo. Or another one. There's just, you know, there's the washcloth over the faucet. There's a drink on the counter with a box of tissues. There's the trash can. That's not depersonalizing the home. You know someone's living there. And here's another one with, the toilet lit up. I can't help myself now. I'll go in to see homes, even just showing them for a buyer, and the toilet lights up. I've got to put it down because it just looks tidier from their perspective. So from a buyer's perspective, you want to be in a tidy house. But look at all the cleaning materials and stuff. They can be put away. But the fact that they're out there makes you think there's no space to do
that
anything.
They can't be put away.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, not understanding the real estate market is number 9 mistake. I'll let you go on this one.
The market, it's important to understand the market so that you can react to it. You can do the right thing in a given market. Is it a seller's market? Is it a buyer's market? When is the right time to come on the market? Is it in spring? Yes, it is. Am I okay coming on the market in June, July? You're going to have some competition with other sellers and so on. So it's important to understand the market so that you can come into the market, you can react to it accordingly. So that's why, and we talked a little bit about the characteristics of the local market, but it's really going into depth in terms of what's happening, when a home's coming on the market, when is the right time, are there other homes on the market, and so on. So that's important. It's also important to use an experienced agent. The mistake is to use an inexperienced agent, because most real estate agents don't list homes, or they list one every couple of years. So it's very important that you use an experienced agent who understands the real estate market, who's able to say to you, now is a good time to come on the market, or now is not a good time on the market. Even in this strong market today, we're hearing many agents saying, you just come on the market, you don't have to do anything. As you are, just come on the market. That's a mistake. And they're saying that because they have heard that the market is strong. Therefore, why wouldn't you come on the market?
And so they don't understand.
Right. It's important that you work with an experienced agent who understands what's going on and can say to you, now is actually the wrong time to come on the market, or it's the right time, but you need to do some
X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, preparations around the home. We need to market it properly, do all of that, which is going to take some time. So that's important too, to not understanding the market. It's mistake number 9.
And not understanding the real estate market. If you're not sure and you don't really understand, there's lots of resources on the internet where you can learn about this. I know we have on our website, we've got a Selling Essentials video series where there's over 100 videos on all sorts of topics related to selling a home. So, even 3 or 4 or 5 years before you're planning on selling, why not just poke around and just look at some of these things so that you learn a little bit about the market as well. So what are our specifics? I mean, from an inexperienced agent perspective or an experienced agent perspective. Well, our specifics, last year in 2020, we listed and sold 61 homes. So far, as of today, we've done 50 already this year. And we helped our buyers buy 50 homes in 2020. So far this year, 32 homes. Being a buyer in this market is pretty tough because of the demand that's out there.
There is such competition, so it is difficult for today's buyers, that's for sure.
Yeah. Our average sale price to list price ratio in 2020 was 103%, and our average days on the market was 28 days. So we do know what we're doing. We are experienced agents, so number 9 mistake of not understanding the real estate market, we got you covered. Okay.
Number 8, not exposing your home to the market. We hear this quite often. Off-market teardowns would be a good example. For sale by owner, those where you're really not leveraging the market to get the highest price for your home. We see homes, just in fact in this area, that have a coming soon sign outside their home, and the next thing they're under agreement. That home has not necessarily been seen by a large number of buyers, and so it's important to expose that home to the market. But exposing it's one thing, but having all the pieces in place that today's buyers expect when they're buying anything for that matter is important too. You really do need to have the high quality photographs, video, 3D tour, floor plans, a website with all the information on the home. You've really got to have all of that digital media, because that's what today's buyers expect. They expect it when they buy a car, and so why wouldn't they expect it when they're buying $1 million product that is a home? So it's very, very important to have all of those digital pieces. And we track when people view the 3D tour, and we have the brochure online as well, and so on. We track all of that. And there's a direct correlation between how many times people, potential buyers I should say, view that digital media, and then
It's a tight
organize
correlation.
a private showing. So high number of views of the digital media, high number of private showings. And then, of course, high number of private showings as a direct correlation to how many offers are received at the end of the day. So it's absolutely important that you have all of those pieces in place, so that you can put it out and expose it to the market. They can understand completely the market. And if you look at the way people are viewing homes today, it's different than what it was before. Before, people used to go to the open house because it was something to do on a Saturday or a Sunday. We're not seeing that anymore. What we're seeing is today's buyers are spending a lot of time online first. They always did, but nowhere near as much as they're doing right now. They're looking at the photos, they're looking at the 3D tour, they're spending a lot of time looking at the homes that are on the market, and basing their decision as to whether they're going to go and see that home on that digital media. That's how today's buyers are looking at it. So it's critical that you have everything in place, number one, but also that when you go live, everything's there. We sometimes see homes that come on the market, then they'll say, photos coming soon. That doesn't work. That just doesn't work, because today's buyers, they're deciding based on looking at the photos and the other ones, whether even to organize a private showing. So if your photos are coming soon, you're just not going to get those private showings. And if you don't get the private showings, guess what? You don't get the offers at the end of the day. So it's important to have all of those pieces in place and get it out, right at the beginning of bringing a home on the market. And so not exposing your home to the market is I think probably the mistake that costs most buyers, or costs buyers the most amount of money. Sellers the most amount of money. That's key.
And part of what we've done is that we know that a lot of folks would like to know when their home comes on the market, well, how much activity is there? How much interest is there with the buyers? And we actually sold a house ourselves personally about 2 years ago down in DC, and we were using a fantastic agent, but we didn't know when things were happening with it. We had no idea. And we looked at that and thought, if that's how our sellers feel, maybe we need to do something about this. So we developed an app. And in that app, we have what we term a listing dashboard. And I think Marcus is going to get one of these.
Actually, why don't we show you? Why don't I show you? There we go. So here is our the app. If you look in the bottom, you see that listing dashboard. That's kind of there's in this case these are listings. And what I thought I'd do is I'll look at the one in 70 Princeton. There we go.
Yeah, it's closing in 2 days' time.
So, back to that first thing, let me scoot back to the pre-listing. One thing that's important is to understand what's happening when. And so here you have, in that kind of before you come on the market phase, here's all the information about the key dates and to when things are going to happen. When is the staging happening? When's the photography happening? When are we going on the market? All of those key dates. Then when you go on the market, what you want to know is how many views there have been of the 3D tour, for example. And here you see, this is actually the 3D tour. You can see that initially, as soon as we come on the market, a high number, in fact a very high number of 3D tour views. That shows you that today's buyers are out looking at how many, looking at the home as soon as it comes on the market.
Did
Let
you?
me look at everything.
And before you go from there, we just want to remind folks that looking at the metrics, we know there's a tight correlation between 40 plus views of the 3D tour on the first 2 days, and on the first day there, I think there was something over 200,
200, yeah.
And the next day there were 40. That typically tightly correlates to 20 plus private showings for the main weekend. I think on that home we had something like 60 private showings, and then that typically, if we've got 20 plus private showings, typically correlates to 2 plus offers. We ended up with, I think, 11 offers on the home, and it sold for something like 30% over the asking price. But where we're going with that is, while the first day the home came on the market, the first day, real time, the sellers were able to sort of say, ooh, we're getting some interest in our home. They know by looking at the data, because that's real-time information coming in on a regular basis as to how much activity is happening. So that's really important, because that immediate feedback loop for a seller on the activity on their home is powerful.
Right. So then you can say you can look at what's happening. Maybe I'll look at the floor plan views. Same characteristics as well. You can see the today's buyers looking at all of the different aspects of it. Look at the brochures, exactly the same thing. They're looking at everything online, and then they're making that buying decision. Now, the next thing, as you mentioned before, Danny, it was difficult for us to get hold of when things are happening after you have an accepted offer. And so this part of the app details everything about what's going on in terms of those key dates. When is the purchase and sale? When is the mortgage contingency, inspection, closing, walkthrough, and all of those different aspects. That's in the home.
And that's why we generated this app, to provide our sellers with all sorts of information, so that they're not having to fish through email after email after email, trying to find out when was destaging happening. It's just right there on the app. They've got the information at their fingertips. So that's why we did that.
Important, of course, to have all of the different pieces in place. I mean, marketing is critical to getting to sell any product, for that matter. It's not just a home, but it's absolutely critical for a home to get top dollar for a home, to get the maximum price for a home. Photographs, videos, 3D tours, websites, all of those different pieces matter, and they really do matter. If you look at photography, here's a somewhat contemporary home and an old home, late 1800s. Both photographed beautifully, so you can see there that this is kind of your showcase. The first thing that a potential buyer looks at is the photography. Let me show you. Those are our photographs, good examples. Here's some not so good examples. Here's an example actually of the same kitchen. These are not our photographs, I should say.
Yes,
this is exactly the same
us.
kitchen. And as you can see in that first photograph, it looks relatively small. Look, quite a small kitchen. It's been tidied up. The work's been done to get it ready to be photographed, but unfortunately the photograph completely lets it down, as the photograph next to it shows. It's actually a relatively large kitchen. But thinking about the potential buyers looking at those photographs, am I going to go see this home? Maybe the first photograph, based on the first photograph, they won't, but on the second photograph, they're likely to. So it really does matter. And we see example after example of this one. I mean, here's a kitchen. You may not be able to see, but the one there, the first photograph there is ours. And the one on the left, somewhat blurred, shall we say? By
one of the top 10 agents in the local town.
Right. Here's another example. Again, nothing in that photograph makes me, anyway, I don't know about you, say, that's a home I really would like to go and see at the open house. I really do need to go see it. It's not crystal clear and sharp, but it's not been staged, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But it's just nothing there that jumps out at me and says, I want to view that home. Same with this one. There's the
box of tissue.
Box of tissue seems to be quite popular.
And blurred.
There we go, and blurred. Here's another one. I mean, there's nothing, the photograph is completely blurred, but there's nothing
that tells you what that room is.
Yeah, what is that room? Is it a dining room? Is it a kitchen? Is it eating, dining? I'm really not sure. potential buyers are going to look at that and go, well, maybe I won't bother with that home. Maybe I'll go and see the other home that's on the market this weekend. And that's key. It really does let the home down with those poor photographs.
I love the next photo. Look at that.
Yeah, you should be able to see that. It's completely and utterly blurred. It really is.
How a seller allows that sort of photo to be online representing their home, it's just sort of staggering.
Yeah, and you can imagine that the list price of that home is somewhere north of $1 million, I expect. So, there you go. That's the quality that's out there for a product which is going to sell at $1 million or so. So, for poor photography, we could go on forever about that, but there's more to it. There's more than just photography. Clearly, video is anybody watching this, perhaps they're watching this after the fact, will be watching this as a video. So it's how many buyers expect to view homes, and we do a number of different videos catering to different markets, different segments, different platforms. We'll have the standard video that shows you a walkthrough of the home. Top 10 reasons you'll love this home. Works really well on social media. We do a virtual open house often. We've done those previously when we the listing agent will walk the buyer through the home, opening the closets as if the cupboards and so on, as if they were showing them the home. So a way for you to basically do an open house without actually being in the home. And there are other examples of videos that we do too, lots of different examples there of different types of videos that work, say, for different purposes and for different platforms. It's important to have that kind of breadth of video and not just a few photographs stitched together to make a video, which we see quite often. So. The next one is really important too, and that's the 3D tour. Maybe here I should show the... Why don't I go ahead and show you...
So what the 3D tour is, while Marcus is pulling that up, the 3D tour, we have been doing 3D tours on homes for about the last 6 or 7 years. We have our own equipment. We actually have 2 cameras. And the 3D tour is really powerful because a home buyer will come and see a home, and then most people still have questions after they've seen the home. And they're sort of thinking, was there a dishwasher in the kitchen? I don't remember. 2 o'clock in the morning, they're worrying about it. They're trying to decide whether they want to make an offer or not. They just can't decide, except they go to the website or they go and have a look at the 3D tour, and oh, yeah, okay, that's what happened there. Here we go.
I'm going to do that one again. Live, by the way.
So this.
There we go.
This is okay. We need to find another one.
What should I do?
Okay. So what it is it allows the buyer to go and view the home real time, walk around the home as if they're in the home, and go and check those things out, and go and sort of see. I won't
be on full screen mode. That's what I've done.
You
that's
think it was
before.
Full screen
yeah,
mode?
that's what's done it before. So the idea here is, let me go to the front door. Here we go. I'm in the front door. Now I can walk around this home as if I'm in it. I'm on the first floor here. I can also go upstairs. I can go to the basement.
Yeah.
I can jump to another floor. Why don't I do that? Jump to the second floor. Maybe I'm on the second floor. There we go. Jump to the third floor. There we go. Here I am on the third floor. So it's as if you're in that home. There's so much you can do. Yeah. You can get a really close look at, here's the bathroom. What is it like? What's the vanity like? And so on. You can get a very close look at that home. And as Danny said, 2 o'clock in the morning. Was there a closet on the second floor? Go to the 3D tour and there it is.
Yeah.
Really easy to do that. You can do a few more things with this one too. Yeah. You can do a floor plan. I like this floor plan more than the schematic floor plan. We have that too, because it shows you the home with furniture in it. Yeah. It gives you some perspective on it.
Scale.
Scale on the home. You can see this is the bedroom level of this home, so that's really important too.
I like the dollhouse view.
Let me put all of the floors on for that one. It's quite a big house, this one, so.
So you can
See what's above
what
or
rooms
below
above.
what.
Yeah, so the dollhouse view is really powerful if you're thinking of adding another bathroom and trying to sort of figure out, if I put it up on that third floor, will that work? Well, there's a bathroom below it. Yeah, it will work.
Right.
No, the bathroom's the other side. Maybe. So it really helps you in understanding what's possible with the house.
So having got all those pieces together, photographs, beautiful narrative too that we put on our feature sheet, for example, the feature sheets, the videos, all of that. We need to put that in a single place that people can see. So excuse me while I jump to the top, and there you go. This is the website where everything about that home is. This one's 41grove.com, and as you can see, there's the description of the property, and we're walking you through a combination of narrative and photographs, kind of walking you through this home, showing you all the features of the home.
Oh, we should put 18 Deering on, because people will get a sneak peek.
18.
A sneak peek, because it's coming on the market tomorrow. So you're the only ones knowing about it at the moment. So it's coming on at $850. Yeah.
You can talk.
Yeah, 4-bed, 2-bath, 2,055 square feet. The place is immaculate. But as you go down, I don't want to do a sales job on it, but as you go down and scroll down on the thing, you can find out everything about the home and, you know, page through the photos and this, and it's a powerful tool.
Yep. So photographs, narrative, there's the 3D tour, of course, there's our video, there's our property brochure, everything in the narrative, floor plans, some photographs of the home, all important Lexington market summary, just what's happening in the town in terms of average prices, for example, and so on.
But
so that's,
have you noticed, this home isn't even on the market yet, but everything's ready. It's going on the market tomorrow. So this is what we were saying, is that you've got to be ready for the buyers. As soon as it goes on the market, you've got to be ready for the buyers who want to consume all of this digital media. It's got to be ready. It's got to be there. So it's there.
There you go. So that's the website. And kind of now having got all of that, the trick now, of course, is to get that in front of people, get potential buyers. And we do that. We have two strategies to do that. First one is a broad strategy around social media, putting social media adverts out there that, of course, highlight the key features of the home, the 3D tour, the great photography, all of that kind of catches the eye of the potential buyers as they scroll through social media. So going broad with social media, but in order for this to work, you have to have everything else underneath, because guess what? If somebody was to click on one of these adverts, it would take them to the website. You have to have that in place. You can't just put something on Facebook. You've got to have the backing of that, and that's what the website kind of backs this up. So that's what we do there. And then, having gone broad, then we go very targeted in terms of targeted email. And that's kind of our second strategy. So broad in social media, and then targeted emailing people who've come, who've interacted with us, come to open houses and so on.
And for instance, 18 Deering, we've sent that information about that home that's not even on the market yet, but coming on tomorrow, that's gone to all the buyers who have been to any open house in the price range and the town that home is in. So we're getting it in front of the serious buyers immediately. We're doing targeted email marketing for the home. And why is that important? Well, have a look at this one. This one came on the market for $869,000, and it sold the same day it came on the market. Days on the market was 0, and it sold for $869,000. So could that seller have gotten more money? Absolutely. But to be honest, it was easy for the agent. It was probably one of the agent's buyers. It didn't get the seller the highest price they could, because you got to get all of the serious buyers to know about the home, because the more buyers who want to buy your home, the higher the price goes. It's just basic the more buyers that know about your home and fall in love with your home, higher the price.
Yep.
After 0 days on the market, that's not the highest price. So, it's really important. The next mistake is not knowing how much your home is worth. This is a critical component to getting the highest price. It's not just I wonder what price will come on the market at. You've got to drill down. It really is important. Just doing an overview of the comparable homes, that doesn't tell you anything. It's more about, you've got to think of the key components that a buyer's looking at, comparing your home to something else. The size of the home, that's huge. The number of beds, number of baths, how big is the home? Does it have a garage? What's the condition like? Is it an old dated kitchen, or has it been refreshed and it looks beautiful? And the location, all of those play a large factor. But we often find that friends or neighbours might have an opinion on how much your home should sell for without actually understanding what the key components are. Sure, it might be a house on the same street. They might be pointing to a house up the road that's sold. Well, you should be selling for the same price as that one. Well, look, if you look at just basic math, let's say we're talking about a 2,500 square foot home that's sold up the street versus your home that's a 2,000 square foot home. That's a difference of 500 square feet. Now, let's just take a broad brush and say it's $400 a square foot. So a 500 square foot difference in a home at $400 a square foot could be something like $200,000 difference in price. So it's not just because they're on the same street. There's so many other factors involved with it. And, the first weekend is absolutely critical. We've got to come on the market at the right price the first weekend, because if we overprice the home, we're killing the market at that point. First weekend is absolutely critical.
Right.
The market analysis, it's comprehensive and analytical. I have to, whenever, I don't know what you do or what others in the team do. When I send a market analysis off to a seller, I give a caveat. I say, look, I don't know whether this is what you want to hear, but this is what the data is telling me. Because it's the right thing to do to tell the seller what the data is telling you. It's no good to fluff the stuff. Absolutely no good to fluff the stuff, because the buyers know what your home's worth. Got to have up-to-date market statistics. We have all of those in our market analysis. And part of the thing that we do is that we'll include up to, say, 10 homes that have some relevance to yours. May not be comparables, but they're homes that the buyers would be also thinking about buying, who would be thinking about buying your home. And we'll do a comparison. We'll sort of say, well, that particular home, it's smaller than your home. It's not in as good a condition, might have a better location, but given all of those, I think that home's relevant to yours, but yours should sell for more than that one. And then we do that same analysis with each home that we've included in the report. And it's fairly obvious when you've done that as to where your home is bracketed in there, because it's a comparison, but it explains where that comparison is driven from. And we'll give you a recommendation of what the market value range is, and we provide a sales proposal. So typically by the time we're finished, you know what's going on with the market as well, and what the market will bear with your home, and then coming on at a realistic price, that's when we'll get the attention for your home. So overpricing is really not a good thing to have happen. Here's a story. I'm allowed to tell a story, aren't I? Last year we bought a home on the market in Arlington, And it's not our decision as to what price you come on the market at. Not our decision, it's yours. And the seller came on the market at just over the highest value in the market value range. And on the Thursday we came on the market. On the Saturday morning, he called me back. He called me and he said, we're not going to get offers on Tuesday, are we? And I said, it's not looking likely. And he said, should we drop the price now? And I said, no, let's wait until Tuesday because it only takes one buyer. But he called me because he was seeing that we weren't getting the attention from the buyers on the dashboard. He could see because he knew that we should have been expecting 40 plus views of the 3D tour and we should have been getting lots of private showings. So he knew that we were struggling at that point. Anyway, Tuesday we didn't get offers on the home. I talked to them Tuesday night and they said, what do we do? And I said, we drop the price down into the market value range. But we don't do it today, we do it on Thursday. And then on Thursday, we specify that we're going to review offers again on the Tuesday. So they called me on the Thursday, they dropped the price down into the bottom of the market value range, which is where I typically recommend being. And on the Saturday, he called me and he said, we're going to get offers, aren't we? We're going to get offers on Tuesday. And I said, yeah, it looks likely. We're getting a great response. On Tuesday, we got 5 offers on the home and we ended up selling it for the same price that it came on the week before. So you can tell what's going on. And the market analyses, they're analytical. It's not, it's using data. So now, and not understanding that buyers know the market. Do you want to talk about this one? Because I've got a lot to talk about coming up.
Have you?
Yeah.
So I need to talk quickly?
Yes.
Yes, I need to talk quickly. So buyers really do understand the market. They're out weekend after weekend. In this market especially, which is a very tough market, they're probably writing offers weekend after weekend after weekend. So they know very well what essentially the prices of a given home should be. So it's important not to test the market. Sometimes a seller will say, well, let's try this price and see what happens. What happens is the buyers look at it and go, it's overpriced. In comparison to the 2 that came on last week and the 1 the week before that, this home is overpriced, and they will ignore it. So it's very important that you don't test the market. Back to what Danny said around that market analysis, it is analytical. That's the price to come on the market at, because today's buyers can tell straight away if a home is priced well or if it's overpriced. So that's important. And it's important to look at that market analysis because sellers today are not looking weekend after weekend in terms of what 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom capes are selling for if they're living in one of those. They're just not doing that, whereas buyers are. So sellers have little information in terms of what house prices are in general. Buyers have a lot of information about home prices. So it's very, very important that you don't assume the buyers don't understand the market. They do very, very well. Yeah. They understand it very much so. So that's key.
Yeah. And the market analysis, again, can educate the sellers about condition and competition. We're trying to sort of even the playing field with all of this. This is why we do these sellers masterclasses.
Of the masterclass.
And we'll give you analytical advice. We'll talk about, when's the best time to come on the market and all of this sort of stuff. Things that we know that the buyers know. So we need to help our sellers understand what's going on so that we make smart decisions.
Right. Number 5,
yes.
Not understanding the value of an inspection. There's a large risk with an offer with an inspection. Sellers today don't want offers with inspections if they can avoid it. Buyers exit, and the next offer they traditionally get is dramatically less. So one solution to that is having an inspection prior to coming on the market. No need to fix everything though, just having that information is key. But it's key that understanding what is wrong with the home and should you do anything about it. That's kind of the key of perhaps doing an inspection before you come on the market.
And it depends on the market too. I think if we're in, a year ago, 18 months ago, 2 years ago, we were in a softening seller's market.
Right.
And those offers without inspection contingencies, they were few and far between. Having an inspection in that market was very, very valuable. I don't know that it's, when we're in such a strong seller's market now,
right,
we're typically finding that a lot of buyers, if there's lots of competition, a lot of buyers are not coming in with an inspection anyway. So it's really understanding the value of an inspection and timing when to do it and when not to do it when it's not necessary type
right,
of thing. So it really depends on the market.
Right.
And you don't have to disclose anything found in the inspection to the buyers because MAS is a voluntary disclosure state.
Right.
You don't need to do it. But it's, sorry, our dog's barking.
Dog's barking in the background.
But I think it's important to talk about, if you're going to spend money, spend it on the things that will give you a higher, return on investment, higher ROI tasks. Because, we often talk to people about, look, don't put a new roof on, don't put a new heating system in, don't upgrade the electricals and the plumbing and new windows and storm doors because,
in general, buyers won't pay extra for those. The way I always characterize this is, I'll talk about the things not to spend your money on. The next thing the next top 10 mistake is going to talk about creating a product, and that is these are the things you should spend your money on. So the things like a new roof, heating systems, storm windows, those kind of things. The buyers, much as they would love to have a new roof, there's no question, they're not going to pay extra for that new roof. They're not going to walk in and go, I really want this house because it's got a new roof. They're just not going to do that. I want this house because they've got new windows and storm windows. What they're going to do is say, I want this home because the kitchen's been recently smartened up. And that's really the key piece around this one.
It's not talking about renovating a house, it's smartening up a house so that a home is move-in ready. Because part of the thing is a lot of sellers don't understand one of the mistakes a lot of sellers make is not understanding the value of creating a product. Because the buyers, they want move-in ready. They want to be able to wheel their suitcase in, unpack, and settle down. They don't want to have to come in and think, oh, I need to get this fixed and I need to get this fixed and I need to get this fixed. Who do I call? And they'll often inflate the value or the cost of something because they don't know. They don't know how much something is going to cost to do. And we see this often. When we were talking before about 49% of the homes last year sold for below the asking price, most probably those homes came on the market with no preparation. And they sit on the market for months. And the longer a home's on the market, the lower the price they're going to get for the home. So we can get the highest price for a home when a buyer walks in the door. Oh, wow, I've got to have this home. I've got to have it. And if other buyers have to have it, guess what? The price has just gone up. The purchase price has just gone up. Now, we also talk that staging is part of creating a product. And we'll talk about staging in a minute, but we stage a home at no cost. There's no cost to the seller for the staging that we do. We do it because it gets our sellers higher prices. We do it because it sells a home faster. We do it because we have 17 housefuls of furniture and it's got to go somewhere. And we have a truck and we have a staging team. We do it because it creates a product. And again, it's so important to understand the value of creating a product. Here's an example. Here's a before photo. Here's a bit of smartening up. It was some fresh paint and things like this. But look at the difference creating the product, the staging has. Another one before, freshened, staged. Another one before, freshened, staged. Before, freshened, staged. I mean, look, this is a nice photo, but this is so much better. This really tells you what the room is. Here's a before, and with wallpaper being removed, freshened, staged, looks a heck of a lot better. Here's another one, freshened, fresh paint. This is an interesting one. This is a home, I think it was last year or the year before, I don't remember. It had been on the market for 103 days, unsold, with another agent. And they got me in to talk to me about selling the home, and I suggested, look, I love wood as well. I've got a wood kitchen upstairs. I've got a wood kitchen. I like wood, but the buyers prefer white. So I suggested that we paint the kitchen cabinets, and we put in a couple of appliances because there was some stainless steel and some black. And we had competing offers on the home and sold it for way over asking. That's the difference. The wood kitchen, 103 days, not sold. Now, obviously, there were components of the marketing and preparation and all of those sorts of things that weren't done before. But this is the difference, that the buyers see this and they, oh, I've got to have that house. Here's another one, oak kitchen. We got them to paint it. We didn't do anything else. The appliances are still the same. We did some staging. Obviously, we needed to stage, but they were just in the process of moving out. But it just freshens the kitchen up. Remember, the whole aim is to have the buyers come in and think, I don't have to do anything in this home. That's the key thing that we're doing. It's even more important for bathrooms. So we all know that there's a lot of bathrooms around that have sort of the coloured ceramic tile. A buyer would stand at the door of this particular bathroom and they'd say, this is going to cost me $20,000 to upgrade, to update. Okay, I need to reduce the price that I'm going to offer by $20,000 because I've got to do the bathroom. Yet with paint, and this is all this is, we painted the tiles and took the wallpaper down. All of the fixtures are exactly the same. A buyer could look at that door, look at the bathroom and think, yeah, we can just move in. They're willing to pay more for the home because they don't have to do anything to it. Here's another example. This is, again, the blue tiles and laminate, swirly laminate vanity. Buyers are again going to think, I have to renovate this bathroom. I need to get this done before I even move in. How am I going to manage that? All of this sort of stuff. Who do I call? With some paint, again, just paint on the tiles, and look at the vanity. That's paint on the vanity as well. Benjamin Moore sell a bonding primer. I'm sure that you can find them in lots of other places, but you put the bonding primer on and then normal paint over it. It's look, you can't even hardly tell. I mean, it just looks so much fresher. But it's not just inside that you need to do. Sometimes the outside could just use just a little bit. This is a home we sold a couple of years ago. Well, not in this state. It was a for sale by owner for quite a while. Then it was on the market for over a year with another agent, not selling. Then it was a for sale by owner again. And then they called us in. We came in and we got them to remove the two trees on there. But what we got them to do was paint the paint the window trim and paint the garage doors. Because if you can see in the old photos, they were sort of a plum color. and it really didn't look that exciting. Painting just with the trim, didn't do anything to the siding or anything, just the trim, and staging inside because the home was vacant. We had competing offers and sold for over the asking price. So it's not just inside, sometimes outside needs a little bit of smartening. Here's another one, that the outside. So this is a home that, these trees had been growing for 20 years with no pruning, no nothing. You can't even see what's there. I'll show you what's there. There's a side entry there, and a buyer would have no idea that this home would look as good as it does if this is what they're seeing. Plus the fact that the home would be very, very dark inside because all of these trees would be blocking the light coming in. And part of the thing is with taking some of these older trees out and putting fresh, new growth type plants, this is what the builders do. When the builders are building a home, they landscape around the home. So when buyers see new plants, they immediately think, oh, new, oh, this is really exciting, oh. So it, again, the buyer's psyche is, this is newer. Whereas it wasn't, it was just that we removed the old plants. But it's not just us saying this. When you sort of see 83% of buyer's agents said a staged home helped buyers visualize the property as a future home. That's powerful. And 25% of buyer's agents said potential buyers increased their offer between 1 and 5% on a staged home. So let's talk about a home, $1 million home. If a buyer increased their price by 5% on $1 million home,
50,000
at no cost, that's powerful. 85% of homes surveyed were sold for 6 to 25% more than homes that were not staged. You know, these are other people's statistics. The NAR is the National Association of Realtors. This is why we have a staging team. This is why we do this, because it creates an emotional response from the buyer, which is critical to getting the highest price. I mentioned other agents, well, I didn't mention this part. Other agents charge for the service, or the seller has to pay the staging company directly. They have a third-party staging company that the seller needs to pay for. We include it as part of our services for our sellers for the standard fee, because it gets our sellers a higher price, and word of mouth and getting a higher price and all of this sort of stuff, that's powerful, and it's well worth the investment that we make to sell your home for more money. Plus the fact that it helps define problem spaces, if you like. Here's a room. You could look at that and think, I don't know what, maybe it's a bedroom. No, I don't know what it is. Well, actually it was the dining room. But with furniture in there, okay, it's the dining room. You know that it's the dining room. Because it's telling the buyers, it's evoking their imagination as to how they would live in the home as well, which is key. Here's a beautiful living room, but it looks a lot more inviting with furniture in there. Here's a photo that this is a nice freshened up room, but it looks so much better with furniture in it. It really looks warm and inviting. Here's a photo of one of the inside rooms of that for sale by owner home that we showed you just a little bit before, where we went and painted the outside trim. I mentioned that one of the other things that we did was stage the home because it was vacant. It had some problem rooms, problem layout. If you look at this room in the front there, that's the living room because the front door is over here. Now you've got the dining room. You can see the chandelier. You've got the dining room. Well, the buyers would walk through and think, what's this room? What do we use this room for? They wouldn't know what they used. And when a buyer can't work out how they would use a room, you've got a problem. You never want to see a home that's got a versatile layout or a unique layout. Or a, what's the other word that's used for it? I can't remember what the other word is. Anything that
invoked I don't know.
Yes, is a problem. Well, we solved it by, we staged the front room as a living room, we staged the middle room as the dining room, and we created a pre or post dinner drinks room with a bar and comfy seating. It allowed the buyers to come in and think, yeah, I get that. So again, this home had been on the market for a long time, and as soon as we listed it, we sold it. We had competing offers and sold it over asking price. Next one, mistake, is not having a plan. Not having a plan. So part of that not having a plan is it's no good to think about coming on the market and then coming on the market, a seller coming on the market and you're under agreement. First weekend. Now what do I do?
Now where do I move?
Yeah, that's a really stressful time for you because you are on a one-way street. If you've sold your home, you need to have a plan before you come on the market. Do you need to be able to sell to be able to buy? That next place, or can you buy without selling first? Do you want to move into rentals? We're seeing a lot of sellers right now who are capitalizing on the market that we have now, not wanting to buy in this frenzy of a market. We'll just rent instead, and we'll spend 12 months figuring out what our next move is.
Right.
That's really sensible because that's taking the pressure off the seller on what their next phase or permanent phase is, doing a temporary move into a rental. When do you want to downsize? When do you want to upsize? Don't just come on the market with no plan. There's nothing worse than that. And part of that plan is, we can come in and advise you on cosmetic improvements with a high return on investment. Paint colors. I love talking people with paint colors. Paint colors is important. We did a masterclass, I think, about 5 years ago, and we talked about paint colors, and that's great, but we didn't suggest at the time that we can help you with those colors if you need help. And someone got us in to talk after coming to our masterclass, and they painted their home bright orange, bright green, and bright blue. That's, there are colors that are very, very popular with the buyers now, and they're very, very subtle colors, so we can help you with that if you need that. I went in to see a house about a year ago, and they're not planning on selling for about 5 or 6 years, but they figured they needed to paint inside. Why not paint the colors that the buyers want, and then they just have to touch up later. So that was a smart decision. We'll do a pre-staging list, a pre-staging visit, and we'll provide a list of recommendations on just quietly packing away some things. You need to pack to move anyway, so pack in advance, do some advanced packing. We can provide contractor resources. We can help you with understanding how to time your buy and sell so that it works for you. Now, normally our typical seasonality looks something like this, and we've got 2018 in here specifically because the prior few years have been a little different. Last year, forget about seasonality.
Yep. Yeah,
it just went out the window.
It did.
This year, seasonality also went out.
Yeah,
the window.
it'll be interesting to see whether it does follow this to some extent. It's certainly much higher in many towns, and what will happen in the second half of the year. It's not clear how much activity we will see in the second half of the year. There's clearly buyers are out. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
We anticipate that sellers will still come on the market at a level that's consistent with what we've seen historically. How much higher it will be, that's kind of the little bit of an unknown for us right now.
Yeah.
Will we see a lot more homes coming on because house prices are higher and sellers thinking now is clearly a great time to jump into the market? That's for sure.
And so we want to sort of talk about this now because we believe that this is going to be in play next year. This is the prediction. We believe our seasonality is starting to be a little similar, just in the last couple of weeks, last month, we're starting to see a little bit back to our normal seasonality. We'll, again, as Marcus said, we'll see how that plays out. But normal seasonality is the busiest time or the best time to sell is is the spring/summer market, and the beginning of the spring market depends on the winter. I mean, this winter it was really mild. We were bringing homes on the market the second week in January because it was a mild winter and the buyers were all out there. Typically, it can be anywhere from mid to late January to mid-March. I mean, 2015, the spring season didn't start until mid-March because of, I don't know whether you remember, we had huge amounts of snow.
Well, starting in January, right?
Yeah.
End of January.
End of January, yeah. But it's typically finishing the last week in July. I don't believe that's the case this year, but typically finishes in the last week of July, because any buyer who hasn't got a home under agreement by the end of July, they're typically not going to be able to get in for the beginning of the school season. So this is very much driven by the school year, but again, this year and last year weren't. But typically August is not a great time to sell because most people are going on vacation or getting ready for the school to come to get going, and a mortgage taking about 4 weeks. If a home's not under agreement by the end of July, probably not going to make it to closing before school starts. And then we have a very short fall market. Last year, we bought a home on the market the weekend before Thanksgiving because the buyers were out there, and we had something like 15 offers on the home. We had a huge number of private showings, but that's not typical seasonality. But as you can sort of see here, December, forget about coming on the market December, and typically, because in 2018 only 3 homes came on the market in December, and most of the buyers at that point in time are not looking because there's no homes coming on. Let's talk about overpricing. Overpricing. This graph here, if you see there's 100 there and you see the dotted line here, that's 100% sale price to list price ratio. So let's say a home comes on the market for $1 million and sells for $1 million. That's selling for 100% sale price to list price ratio. You'll see, and this is raw data. This is data. And it shows that the first week that a home is on the market, or the first 10 days that a home is on the market, you've got a much more higher likelihood of selling over the asking price. And from that point in time, the trend line is down. The longer you're on the market, the price is going down. There's a couple here that are outliers, but they were new construction where the buyers wanted a basement finished, and it increased the price of the home because they had the basement finished as well. So, but this is the trend line. The longer you're on the market, the lower the sale price to list price ratio is. So what does happens when you overprice a home? Well, an easy summary of it is that you end up with less than market value. You just end up with less. Because the days on the market, the longer a home is on the market, let's say a buyer goes in to see a home and it's been on the market 6 weeks and they really love the home. they're walking around the home and what's wrong with this house that that other people are seeing and we're not seeing, because they know it's not selling. So there's got to be something wrong with the house that they're missing. So they're really cautious about making an offer on the home. And the longer the home's on the market, they want a discount, because the buyer's agent knows that the home's been on the market for 90 days, not selling. So, let's go in with a lower offer. Right. But again, don't test the market. I see this all the time. People sort of think, well, let's see if we can get that price, because there's lots of buyers out there. And we'll just get lots of buyers. If they don't like the house, they'll come in with a lower offer. They won't, because we have to actually get the buyers in the door to begin with for them to fall in love with the house. They're not going to come in the door if the home's overpriced. They're not going to make that appointment, make that private showing if the home's overpriced. We've got to get them in the door for them to fall in love with the home. If we can't even get them in the door, they're not falling in love with the home. The other thing, you see our little guy, I love that. Beware of the bait and switch, or the agent who loves your home. Because if they come in, an agent who, we call it buying a listing. That's the term in the industry, is buying a listing. If an agent promises or tells you that they'll get X amount for a home, and that's more than any other agent, well, that buyer loves my home. That buyer's going to get me the highest price for my home. That buyer's the one we need to use. The agent has bought your listing. Because what the agent is doing is, the longer the sign is out front of your home, the agent is advertising themselves, not your home. Because they're going to get a lower price for your home. The longer the sign, the data that we just showed you, the slide before, the longer your home's on the market, the less you're going to get. So don't fall for that. Look at the market analysis. What does the data show? And if you didn't get a market analysis, that's a problem. Yep, you should get a market analysis. Don't just have someone, I think your home is worth X. I must say, I have sellers sometimes asking me in to talk to them about selling, and they say, well, how much is my house worth? And I say, well, I need to go away and do a market analysis. And some people have sort of said, well, other agents have just told me how much it's worth. When they just came in, and that's not doing a market analysis. That's thinking, how much will this seller, how much can I convince this seller, or how much do I have to promise to get this seller to use me? That's not the way. And if you look at it from this perspective, the right hand side, there's one person there looking pretty disinterested. If that's what's happening with your home, you're not going to get the highest price. You're going to get the highest price if you've got a buyer over and on the left-hand side. Everybody's clamoring to get to buy your home. That's what you aim to get, because it's like, I've got a great example here.
I was going to get there's a difference in psychology here as well. Totally
different. And it's not about the price point of the home. A lot of people make the mistaken assumption that it's all about the price of the home as to how much activity they will get. Just 2 or 3 weekends ago, we had a $375,000 home on the market in a different town, and we had a $2,150,000 home on the market. Now, we had others in that range, but what I want to explain is the difference of what happened. The $375,000 home had 2 offers on it. Okay, when we went back to the buyer's agents and said, we've got 2 offers on your home, come in with your best and final, Well, those buyers are thinking, there's only one other offer I've got to beat. I don't need to go up much more. I don't need to do much. I'm just going to stay where I am. Neither of the offers changed their price. Conversely, and that's at $375,000. Conversely, at $2,150,000, that seller came on the market at the bottom end of the market value range. And we had 9 offers on the home. So when I went back to the buyer's agents and said, we have 9 offers on the home, come in with your best and final. Now those buyers are thinking, there's 8 other buyers I've got to beat. How much more do I need? How much higher do I need to go to get the home? And that's when we get higher than market value. And with that, we ended up selling it for $230,000 over the asking price. That's so we see a difference with the number of offers because we're creating this dynamic with more offers. Price goes up. If you've only got 1 or 2 or nobody, price goes down. Here's a real true example though. Names have been removed. House details have been removed.
To protect the innocent.
This was a couple of years ago. My market analysis on this home was 1.8 to 1.850. And the seller called me after I'd done the market analysis and I'd been going backwards and forwards, 2 or 3 weeks with them about the home. And they said, look, we love the fact that you know everything that's going on with the market. You do 4 times more marketing than anybody else in town. But we've decided to use someone else. And because I'd been going backwards and forwards with them a whole lot and I had a good relationship with them, I sort of said, look, can I ask a question? You've just told me that I know the market inside and out and I do so much more marketing. Why aren't you choosing me? And they said, well, another agent just came in and resonated with the house. I thought, okay, I'm done. I don't know what resonated with the house was. So I didn't take it any further. Didn't know what resonated with the house meant. 10 days later, the home came on the market for $300,000 more than the low range of my market analysis. That's what resonated with the house meant, or buying a listing. Well, look what happened to this home. It came on the market at $2,095,000, and then 3 months later, it dropped $220,000 in one hit. Still nothing. Nothing happened. And then another 4 months later, they dropped it $25,000. Nothing happened. Then they came off the market 9 months later, or 250 days, not selling. So they went 250 days with their home on the market, having strangers walking in their home, if they could get them in their home, and having to keep the home show ready. Then the home came on the market 3 months later. Came on the market 3 months later for 1,788. Remember, my market analysis was 1.8 to 1.850, and I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good with my market analyses. My market analysis was 1.8 to 1.850. So it came on the market at 1,788.
Right in the middle of COVID, we might add. So they ended up getting everything wrong because mid-February was just when COVID was beginning to happen. We bought homes, we were still bringing homes on the market then too and selling them. We stopped the end of March. That's when we were starting to see the impact. Right. So that was still timed right if they came on the market at the right price and didn't have all of this prior history there. But ended up selling 5 months later for 1.7. Can I just point out, my market analysis was 1.8 to 1.850, and they lost $100,000 because
they went with the agent that promised them the highest price.
And 18 months.
And 18 months, and didn't have the data to back it up because there was no data that backed up that price. So they sold it for 82% of sale price to list price ratio. This is just a real example of what happens when you overprice a home. It will mean that you will sell for below your market value. So don't get I don't want to say sucked in, because don't get seduced by, look at the data. Anyway, the number one mistake, you're going to sort of say, this is not hiring the right agent. Just hold on for a minute and let us get to what we're going to. A lot of people think that all agents are the same. A lot of people think that. And most sellers aren't asking the questions they should be asking. I was showing something to, I don't remember who I was showing it to today, and I was just shaking, oh, no, I don't remember, but I was just shaking my head saying, how does sellers accept this poor, oh, that's right, it was a home that had 11 photos on it, that was it, no other marketing, 11 photos. And it was something in the $2.5 million price range. And I'm just, how does sellers accept? Why aren't they screaming at their agents for more marketing? But anyway, that's a soapbox. But there are lots of issues with agents. Lazy agents, ones that will put coming soon photos on it. They'll bring it on the market on a Friday with coming soon, and they finally put the photos on a Sunday night.
Yep.
The weekend's gone, the buyers, you've lost that key weekend. There's a few photos taken with an iPhone, done with no prep, blurred, no quality control. Some agents, and folks don't realize this, some agents make it very difficult for buyers' agents to see the home with their buyers. The listing agents make it very, very difficult. Selling the home when it's coming soon. Again, this whole thing about exposing the home. If a home is sold while it's coming soon, the agent has done the wrong thing by the seller, period. Sorry, am I getting on my soapbox too much? When a home is coming soon and one buyer sees it, that is not getting market value for the home. That is making it easy for the agent, and that's making it more money for the brokerage, because they get, but it's not, it's doing a disservice to the seller. It's just doing a disservice to the seller. Also, there's a lot of listing agents, a lot of homes come on the market, offers will be reviewed on Tuesday. And then Saturday night, the home's under agreement. And we have so many buyers week after week after week who are devastated because the home that they'd fallen in love with when they saw the home on the Thursday or the Friday or the Saturday, they fell in love with the home, getting really excited about putting an offer in on it on Tuesday when the offers are due, and the house is gone. It got sold out from under them. Did that seller get the highest price for the home? Remember what we were talking about the more offers that we get, and my characterization of 3 weeks ago, where we had one that had 2 offers on it versus one that had 9 offers on it. The sellers didn't get the highest price for the home, and it's doing the wrong thing. It's being disrespectful to the buyers and the buyers' agents who are out there doing the right thing, and it's not getting the highest price for the sellers. Oh, I'm getting all serious here. So our goal is to sell your home for the most amount of money in the least amount of time with zero hassle or stress. That's what creates experiences worth talking about. Our aim is a relationship for life. Our core values are integrity and ethical behavior. It's education, not selling. And exceptional customer service. Here we have a team dynamic operating. The client is the center of our universe. We have the agent working directly with the seller or the buyer, the seller. We have a listing coordinator that works directly with the seller as well. We have a closing coordinator when the home's under agreement working with the seller. We have preparation. We have one of the people in our team who helps with the preparation. We have our staging manager. She works with the client to stage the home and smarten the home up. And even if it's just bringing in accent pieces, that's fine. And we have our marketing director. He works directly with the client. So we're all working with the client to help them and to make it stress-free. Remember what I said just a minute ago, though, about not choosing the right agent is the number one issue. It's not just us saying that. This is, you need a professional who does it day in and day out to get you the highest price. You don't want a 3Ps agent. What's a 3Ps agent?
Put it in MLS, put a sign outside and pray.
You've got to do the pray.
Oh, do I? Okay.
But it's not us just saying this. The National Association of Realtors had a study commissioned about what is the biggest threat to the real estate industry. What is the biggest threat to the real estate industry? And the biggest threat is, number A1, is masses of marginal agents destroy reputation. The real estate industry is saddled with a large number of part-time, untrained, unethical, and/or incompetent agents. This knowledge gap threatens the credibility of the industry. It's not just us saying this. This is the National Association of Realtors. So you need someone who does it day in and day out and does it the right way, ethically. I think that's, I don't know how you can sort of say, you're talking to an agent, are you ethical? Everyone's going to say that, but look at their past history. Talk to people that have used them before. Talk to neighbours. Look at reviews. We've got some on too. But anyway, look, here are the agents in our team. We have Marcus, myself, Rachel, Corinne, Dawn, Wenjen, Yuki, and Andrew. So we all have fun at work. We love being together. Here's some of our testimonials. All right, we've bought and sold 9 homes so far. I can't say enough about Danny's professional services. She needs to be teaching other real estate agents to market a property. She and her team went above and beyond to ensure there were no snags. In addition to her competence, she's just really pleasant, upbeat person and very nice to work with. Oh, I forgot about that one. Here's another one. It's certainly a pleasure working with the team. I cannot imagine anything easier than this. You provided us such a smooth and worry-free transition. We appreciate it so much. You can find these all on our website, that sort of stuff. But what does selling in 2021 look like? I need you to take over because I need to have a drink.
Okay.
I've been talking too much. Okay.
So what is selling in 2012? We're almost at the end here because I realise we've gone too long, so we'll kind of zip through this one and then call it. So what does selling in 2021 look like? We are seeing some restrictions around open houses, although very much being lifted right now. The challenge we see with the open houses, though, if they're not completely open, if buyers are required to restrict the number of buyers going through a home, they can become a huge bottleneck. It really can be, a line of buyers outside the home. And to what extent are those buyers actually going to go into the home? Are they going to be lined up? Are they going to have to wait 20, 30, 40 minutes to go in? Maybe they just don't bother. Maybe they just walk away. So we have some concerns around open houses. They're certainly not the way they were before. No. This will change certainly as we can move through 2021 and into 22. But what we're looking for here, of course, is to get lots and lots of private showings so that we don't overlap those private showings. And that way people can be much, much more comfortable within that home. That's key.
It's the visceral feel as a buyer walks in the door. You
Right.
want that to be a really positive one. And if there's lots and lots, the serious buyers have changed their buying profile in COVID. They're used to private showings and they're used to just going in
Right.
and feeling a house. And yet, if they come, if the only time that they're going to come is when there's an open house and they're walking in and there's other people around.
Or they've had a queue up for 30 minutes
Yeah.
to get in the home. It's
Yeah,
just not the way that they used to. So there definitely is a shift in the way buyers, as we said previously, looking at a home, looking at everything virtually before they do anything, before they make that decision to go and make a private showing. And that's how today's buyers are looking at homes. It's not just going out to do some open houses on Saturday and Sunday. That's definitely.
Yeah.
We're now starting to bring physical feature sheets back in, although again, we have everything virtually, including the feature sheets too. All of that marketing has to be virtual. And all the closings are virtual too, of course. So we are moving clearly to the way we were previously, with the exception, I think, of the way buyers are used to seeing homes.
Yeah.
Tending to move away from the crowded open houses we were used to into those private showings. That's where you get the most number of people through. That's where you get the most amount of serious buyers in, and that's where you get the most amount of offers. You know, and clearly that means you end up getting more money. So that's key.
Yeah.
In terms of, there are 5 pillars, if you will, in terms of maximizing sale price, smart decisions. That's really all about understanding the market. The presentation we did last night went through in detail what's happening in many of the towns in the area. So, check that out to understand exactly what's happening. Preparation, Danny showed you the difference between a before and an after, and then layering on top of that staging, kind of allowing today's buyers to understand how they would live in a home. How would they use that space that perhaps isn't so obvious if it's a wide open space with no furniture in it. The only time they ever see that, if you think about it, is when they go into a vacant home. And so they're not used to that. Marketing, all of it digital, that's key. And then bringing everybody together, a team effort to make it a very, very easy to process to navigate without, that app as we showed you before, allowing you to do that. So those are our 5 pillars: smart decisions, preparation, staging, marketing, and then excellence through teamwork.
And the reason we're talking about those at the moment is we're trying to bring it back to how does this correlate with the top 10 mistakes? So number 10, not depersonalizing. Well, we cover this by preparation and staging, those pillars that we talked about. Not understanding the real estate market, smart decisions and marketing. All of the things that we've talked about as the top 10 mistakes, we've got them covered by addressing them with,
Right.
the 5 pillars that we go through. And I'm not going to go through those because...
Yep.
And is my home a teardown?
So we've done this so often, but let me kind of really zip through this really quickly. Is my home a teardown? Clearly a teardown is where land value is greater than the home value. And in this market, that's very rarely the case. Be cautious who's telling you it's a teardown. Builders clearly are telling you it's a teardown. We pay top dollar for your home, but if they're the only builder you're talking to, why would they do that? Be cautious about agents too. An agent will come in and say, I think your home is a teardown. What's going on there? Are they actually working for you, or are they working for a builder? Often they'll introduce you to their builder. And what's happening here is they're foregoing the commission on your home in exchange for the commission on the new construction. And of course, the new construction is at a much higher price than your home is at. So be cautious who's telling you, be it a builder or the agent. We have lots of examples of homes that you would anticipate were teardowns, actually with that preparation, staging and marketing actually sell for a lot more money than they would have sold to a builder. Here's an example here. Here's another one here. We have lots of these as well, where actually going through, following those 5 pillars, understanding the market, prepare, stage, market, actually yields a lot more money for today's buyers sellers than you would necessarily get from a builder. So that's kind of the discussion around the teardown. So.
And if you've got any questions about whether your home is a teardown, we do have a program that we put together. Is the buyer or builder? We'll give you a market analysis as to what a home buyer would pay for your home, and we'll get a ballpark quote from a builder and sort of say, you know, so that you've got the information. And I have to say, we've done this lots and lots of times, and there's only been one time a seller has chosen to go the builder route. And in fact, he didn't choose to go the builder route to begin with.
Right.
We spent about a week getting contractors in and getting quotes to get certain things done. And then he just sort of said, stop, no, put me in contact with the builder, please. So typically, the home buyer will pay far more for your home than what a builder would.
Right.
So again, why do we do all of this sort of stuff?
We think that every client deserves to be the smartest person at the closing table at the end of the day, and that we all benefit, sellers, buyers, everybody, by becoming smarter about home buying and selling. So that's kind of the emphasis of why we do these masterclasses every month, talking about a whole range of different topics. So that's kind of why we do this. So.
Yeah, so we're sorry it's gone over, but there's so much to talk about.
There is a lot.
And we do split it up into different topics each month, but
There we go.
anyway, hope you all have a wonderful remainder of the summer. And if you'd like to join us next month, just let us know. We're doing myths, mysteries, and mistakes of home ownership. So we'd love to see you there. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.